Very good evening, friends. Today we are having a conversation with Mr. H.R. Puri, who is an ex BHLite who retired from BHL Bhopal in 2012. And today we would be talking to him about his college days. He studied engineering in BITS Pilani, and now it would be better if we hand over the baton to him. So, Mr. H.R. Puri, can you throw some light on your days in Pilani?
BITS Pilani was a very interesting experience. I joined in July 1968. It was a time when there were heavy rains, so the normal routes were obstructed. So, me and another batchmate of mine, we traveled together to Pilani. It was a period when ragging was not looked down upon or prohibited. I had my share of interesting experiences in ragging, and as a consequence, I met a lot of my seniors, which benefited me a lot in the entire 5 year stay that I had over there.
Okay, and I would like to ask, like, your father must have gone to drop you or come to see you during your initial days at the college. So, did he uh, think anyway that ragging can be harmful or anything while he was there, and you can
No,
recall anything?
not at all, because after our induction program where we registered ourselves, we came to the mess, and he was about to leave back for Jaipur, where a couple of seniors came to him and asked him, "Sir, could we take your son with us?" So he smiled and said, "He's entirely yours."
Okay, that's quite. So, your father obviously knew what you were in for. But during those days, I remember at college, the engineering used to be 5 years. So you must have passed out in
I joined after doing my higher secondary from Ajmer, St. Anson's, and the 5 years, the initial months were were a little difficult because initial days because of ragging, but as time went on, one got in with the flow of things and made things very memorable. Made my
Okay,
stay at Pilani very memorable, and I made some friends, lifelong friends.
okay. But if we were to recall any other during those 5 years, like compared to the online classes and other technological things that have entered into the field of education, do you feel that much of a difference if you were to go and study now? It would have been different, or
I would say that the student is a very flexible breed. Like in the last 2 years, they have managed to switch over to the online mode very swiftly. And in those days, we used the chalk and duster method. We used to have our labs, plus we used to have a lot of assignments. And if I were to be a student today, I would say that one thing that I anticipate or rather I imagine would happen today, is that today's world is much more competitive.
Okay. Because at that point, that when you completed your studies, getting a first division was used to be a high point for the parents, which
Well, my parents fortunately stood by me, and since my brother had already enrolled into an MBA at IIM Ahmedabad, I was also keen to get into MBA, and I appeared for a couple of interviews. IIM Ahmedabad, IIM Calcutta, and University of Commerce and Business Management at Punjab University, which is now the University Business School, Chandigarh. I secured a high rank in the MBA program entrance exam for Chandigarh, and I immediately after passing out from engineering, I went for my MBA, a 2 year program at what is now the University Business School, Chandigarh.
okay. And if I were to ask you, like we are seeing more participation of the girls in the education sector now. Parents are allowing their uh, girl child to study, which I suppose wasn't the norm when you were doing your
Well, I assume what you want to say is that the number of girl students, well, the year in 1968 in which I joined, there was a single digit figure in the engineering courses that were there in BITS BITS Pilani, and as an afterward, the number percentage was much higher at Chandigarh.
Okay. And coming to like at that point in time, like today we have the mobile, the and this too many options available like YouTube, the cable TV. I suppose at that point TV was in its infancy in India itself. So how did you along with the friend, how did you used to pass your time?
Well, at Pilani, our entertainment were the weekend movies, Saturday show for the students, Sunday shows for the faculty and the postgraduate students. Plus, there used to be an open air theater, open air because the theater's roof got burnt down in an accident, and I was fortunately one of the first persons of my batch to see a movie in that open air theater because my seniors took me there for ragging.
Okay.
After ragging, because ragging was followed by a round of introductions and a sumptuous treat.
Okay,
So,
so yeah, ragging was a means to break the ice between the juniors and seniors, but it has along the way assumed sort of a gigantic proportions in the way that people are now sometimes feeling mentally harassed and people going to the
well,
police.
well, there were cases of students who had to quit their studies because of the intense amount of ragging, but that was a rare exception, and the management took care of its students, and such incidents were very few. Secondly, you were talking about entertainment. Well, we had our various clubs. We had our various sports tournaments. I remember taking part in with one of my classmates who was incidentally my class, Kapil Tikku, who was my classmate in school also. I remember in the first year itself, Kapil and I, we reached the finals of the inter-hostel table tennis tournament.
Okay,
And in subsequent years, there were cultural associations, and there used to be annual festivals. And I remember when I was in fourth year, I I took part. I was with a friend called Money. Also I also acted in a play which I co-directed with him. So that was a wonderful experience. I got that is the only opportunity I remember that I had of being on stage for a play. Plus, in the first year, there was there was a poetry competition in which I not really a competition. It was a non-competitive event. It was just a literary forum kind of a thing where I recited a few of my poems, and I felt amused that a few of my seniors adopted my style of narrating a poem. Incidentally, the poems were in English. There was one distinction in those days. Ragging used to be more intense for people for other students who came from English medium schools. They were called casters, and the others were mustards.
Okay. And talking about also the fact that one of the frequent problems being faced if you live in a hostel is the quality of the food that you get to eat in the mess. So, can you tell us, Mr. Puri, like, did you used to miss your home cooked food or? Oh,
No, I think the food was always above average, and we enjoyed the food, and especially the Sunday afternoon meal, which used to be a special one, and it used to be we used to have these thalis with compartments in which we used to line up, used to start the day with breakfast, which included tea and a changing menu every day, lunch, evening tea, and dinner. And there was a concept called the night canteen, where if you feel hungry, because many a times we would study till late and go to and would need to catch up on a snack. So the night canteens were there. Plus there was a market nearby which is called the Connaught Market, and there was a chaiwala whose masala tea was famous, and we used to have masala tea and potato chips, the masala kind, not wafers. And adjacent to that was the canal Ganga, which was the guest house. Another notable feature was that our first year hostel Shankar Bhavan was adjacent to the Saraswati temple, a lovely temple with a luscious lawn. We used to often go there, sit in the serene environment,
okay.
and
And
and often we used to movies. We had another. There was the Central Electronics Engineering Research Institute, where we used to go and catch up on. They used to have 16 screenings, so especially English movies we used to catch up there. Another thing that happened in the year 1968-69 was that BITS had acquired a 35 camera, and so we had access to many movies and many new movies.
okay. So, I suppose you got to watch almost the almost every movie that released in town at that point in time.
Yeah,
You must have seen most of them. And finally, as you passed out in the year 1973, and in another 2 years' time, it will be 50 years since you passed out. So, as a final question, I would like to ask is what way would you like the BITS Pilani administration to celebrate the 50 years of passing out? Any
Well, this is something that our batchmates are already doing. We had the Silver Jubilee get together, then the 40 years of get together. So and in all these get togethers and alumni meetings at BITS Pilani, the administration has wholeheartedly supported the alumni's visit, facilitated their stay, and it's simply wonderful.
okay, and so any special you would like to say, or the way it is continuing, it's fine. You would say
Well, to tell you frankly, since I have not visited Pilani, I would not be able to comment on that.
since
But the
when?
feedback that I have from others is that
When was the
it
last time you visited?
I the last time I visited was in 1973.
That was the year you passed out.
Yeah, I have not returned there after that.
Okay, okay, fine. Yeah,
So BITS Pilani has been a very memorable stay for me. It had its ups and downs, but overall love the stay. And another thing that I remember is that there used to be in in the in the community had some thelawalas. So we used to, I remember the lassi with roo afza and other snacks that we used to eat, plus the annual fete that was held, the various sport festivals,
oh,
a memorable stay,
okay.
and I would like to wish all future pass outs of BITS, because now it has expanded its campuses to other cities and to Dubai, and I'm very happy to say that the flag of BITS as a brand is flying high.
Yeah, it still features among the top 10
Yes,
colleges.
yes, it's
It has
I'm,
managed
I'm
to,
I'm very proud of that, and many of its alumni have made a mark of themselves
yeah.
in the world. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Puri.